What up, though? This is Math Guy Steve. All right, so today we're finishing our free MGS Calculus Camp. In lesson 1, we talked about what a limit really means, right? So it's what the function is approaching at that x value, what the y value is approaching from the left and from the right. In lesson 2, we looked at limits that had direct substitution, but we got 0 over 0. And so what do? We use our factoring tool to factor numerator and denominator, see if any common factors cancel, because that creates a hole in the graph. In lesson 3, we looked at one-sided limits as well as continuity, right? And so from the left, from the right, are those things approaching the same value? If they are, then that's what the limit is. However, it may not be continuous there. And so we also have to check to see if the function is valued at that x value, and then are those the same number? In other words, what's the limit of the function at that value? What's the function valued at that x value? And then are those the same value? So today we're looking at what happens when the function doesn't approach just a regular value, some regular number. Sometimes as we get close to some x value, the function starts shooting up or shooting down. This is where we get what we call infinite limits. That's also where vertical asymptotes start showing up. So the big idea for today is the function grows or falls without bound at some x value or near some x value, then we have what's called a vertical asymptote. This is a barrier in the graph that the graph is trying to get infinitely close to, but never gets to. Let's try the first one. So this one says, find the right-handed and left-handed limits of the function f of x equals 1 over x minus 2. In other words, find the limit as x approaches 2. This plus means from the right of f of x, and then find the limit as x approaches 2. This one means from the left, since it has a minus there, of f of x. So, before we do anything else, let's look and see what happens when we plug in 2 into the function, right? In other words, what is f of 2, right? When we get 1 over 2, we get 1 over 0. Now, we know as math people, rule number 1, not allowed to divide by 0. Again, until we get to more of those tools like we had earlier, the 0 divided by 0. Now we can do something with that because that was a limit, right? But here, we're just saying 1 divided by 0. This is undefined, right? There's no limit here, so we'd say this is undefined. So then we ask ourselves, well, what is the limit as x approaches 2 from the left and from the right? So to find the limit as x approaches 2 from the right of f of x, we'd say, well, let's plug in some x values, right? So we can see in this table here that, again, as the x's are approaching 2 from the right, from above, then that means, again, 2.1, 2.01, 2.001. Then if we're just subtracting 2 and then putting 1 over that value, notice this is getting 10, then 100, then 1,000. It's getting really big really quickly, right? And so as we keep getting closer to 2, then that x value is approaching positive infinity, okay? So we say as x approaches 2 from the right, f of x approaches positive infinity. Similarly here, we notice that, okay, as x approaches 2 from the left, what is that function approaching? Well, we would say 1.9, 1.999. Again, if I subtract 2 and then put 1 over that value, we get negative 10, negative 100, negative 1,000. So as x is approaching 2 from the left, then this f of x is approaching negative infinity, okay? So we would say the limit as x approaches 2 from the right of f of x is infinity, and then the limit as x approaches 2 from the left of f of x is negative infinity. Actually, now we know those aren't the same value. So if I said find the limit as x just approaches 2 from the left and from the right of f of x, then since they're approaching 2 different values, we'd say that limit does not exist, okay? Well, what's happening there? Let's look at the graph. Looking at the graph of f of x, or y equals 1 over x minus 2, we see that a double boomerang is what I call it, okay? So it's the reciprocal graph, but shifted to the right 2 units. And notice, we're saying, okay, well, as x approaches 2 from the right, the y is approaching positive infinity. As x approaches 2 from the left, then the y is approaching negative infinity. So again, they're approaching these this value of 2, but never getting 2, meaning never getting to that x value of 2. So it makes a barrier on the graph. Again, that's because we're dividing by 0 at the x value 2. Well, what's happening there, again, as we pointed out at the beginning of the lesson, we're creating a vertical asymptote. There's a vertical asymptote, a vertical line that the graph is trying to hug, trying to get infinitely close to. Which brings us to our next question, which is, well, find the vertical asymptote, f of x of 1 over x minus 2. Again, looking back at that graph, we can see that the vertical asymptote is this invisible line of x equals 2. Now, that's not actually on the graph, but it is a huge part of the graph, meaning it's the value that the graph is trying to get close to. So we'd say the vertical asymptote, VA for short, is the equation x equals 2. Again, that vertical line. Okay, so what if we have one like this, right? So it says find the left-handed and right-hand limits of f of x equals 1 over x minus 3 squared. Okay, this was a little bit different because of that squared thing, right? So in other words, we need to find the limit as x approaches 3 from the left of this function and find the limit as x approaches 3 from the right of this function. Well, let's try it. First, let's try plugging in 3, just like we did the last one. So f of x So what's the function valued at 3? What's f of 3? Well, that's 1 over 3 squared, which is 1 over 0 squared, so 1 over 0. The function is undefined at 3. Okay, again, we're dividing by 0 there. It gives us an issue. So we'd say, well, then what's the limit as x approaches 3 from the left, and then of this function? And then what about the limits as x approaches 3 from the right of this function? Okay, well, let's see what these limits are. So how do we do it? Let's look at some tables and get close to 3. So here's our function, f of x equals 1 over x minus 3 squared. Okay, so as I get close to 3, right, so 2.9, right, we would say, well, subtract 3 from that number, square it, and then 1 over it. Notice we get 100, then we get 10,000, then we get a million. Okay, got it. So notice x is getting infinitely close. X is heading toward infinity, and so as x approaches 3 from the left, f of x approaches positive infinity. Also, the limit as x approaches 3, meaning we write as the limit as x approaches 3 from the left of 1 over x minus 3 equals positive infinity. So this one would be from the left, we would say that's positive infinity. Got it. Also, let's see the limit as x approaches 3 from the right. So getting really close to 3, but higher numbers, 3.1, 3.01, 3.001. We're subtracting 3 from that number, squaring it, and then put 1 over that number. So we get 100, 10,000, 1 million. Okay. So as x approaches 3 from the right, the function is getting infinitely close to positive infinity. Got it. Meaning we would write the limit as x approaches 3 from the right of 1 over x minus 3 squared is positive infinity. So what would be the limit here as x just approaches 3 of f of x? Well, they get the same number. It's the same value, not the same number. Infinity is not a number, right? It's just a concept. But it's the same concept, same value. And so we'd say that limit is positive infinity. And we can verify this with the graph. Meaning if we get f of x or y equals 1 over x minus 3 squared, notice as we're getting infinitely, as the x values are getting close to 3, the y values are going towards positive infinity. Now that's from the right. And then from the left, the same thing. As the x values are getting close to 3, the y values are going toward positive infinity as well. So that leads us to the next question, which is, well, then find the vertical asymptote of f of x equals 1 over x minus 3 squared. So pointing at the graph, we can see there is a vertical asymptote, a vertical line that the graph is trying to hug, trying to get infinitely close to, never gets to, and that vertical asymptote is x equals 3. And note, we can see where that 3 comes from, right? It comes from the denominator. But let's be careful, because we may have problems like number 5 here, which is decide whether x equals 2 is a whole or a vertical asymptote. So we know that we're not allowed to divide by 0. We know this denominator, well, if I put x equals 2, we'll be dividing by 0. So there's something happening at the x value too. But it's not automatically a vertical asymptote. The reason why is because sometimes there's holes in the graph, right? Meaning if I took a hole punch and snap the graph, this sometimes happens, right? So how do we know whether it's a hole or a vertical asymptote? We have to actually first know that there's something going on at 2, but then once we know it's something, we don't know if it's a whole or a vertical asymptote. The only way we know is by factoring numerator and denominator, see if any common factors cancel. Because if they do, if a common factor cancels, then there's a hole in the graph, not a vertical asymptote at that x value. So let's try it. Like here, if I said find all the vertical asymptotes, first thing you would do is say, well, let's factor numerator and denominator. So, okay, f of x equals x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. Well, factoring this numerator is the difference of squares, so that would be x double bubble, x, and it'll be x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, so I factor the numerator. In the denominator, notice we have a factor of x minus 2. And so we do have a common factor that cancels, meaning there's a hole at the x value at x equals 2. Got it. So what does the graph really look like? It just looks like y equals x plus 2, which is just a line. So it's not even one of those ones that has a denominator. There's just a hole at the x value 2. If we need to find the y value, we could plug that 2 back in by plugging 2 here for x. That would be 2 to 4, so y would be 4. So, again, if we look at the graph, we can verify this, meaning, okay, at x equals 2, there's a hole at x equals 2. There is no vertical asymptote at all for this graph because the simplified version doesn't have a denominator at all. And if we look at the graph, we can see this is just a line, right? So the graph of y equals x squared minus 4 over x minus 2 is just a line where there's a hole at the x value 2, the y value 4. So then how do we find the vertical asymptotes? Again, if I say let's find the vertical asymptote, first step, factor numerator and denominator, see if any common factors cancel. Then, if we still have a denominator left over, we would say, well, set that denominator equal to 0. So again, we can verify with the graph. But here, let's try it. Okay, so we got find the vertical asymptote. F of x equals x plus 1 over x minus 5. How do I factor this numerator? It's 2 terms. The GCF is 1, so it's prime. There is no factor here. Got it, x plus 1, or it's already factored. How do I factor this denominator? It's also 2 terms, and the GCF is 1. It's not the difference of squares, so it's already prime as well. It's already factored. No common factors cancel, meaning this is how the graph looks. It looks like this. So there's no holes in the graph. Thus, to find the vertical asymptote, we would say Well, look at the rest of the denominator and set that equal to 0. So x minus 5 equals 0. Adding 5, we get x equals 5. So that would be our vertical asymptote for this function. That's our vertical line, a vertical barrier that the graph is trying to get infinitely close to, trying to hug. And if we look at the graph, we can see that's what's happening, right? We have a vertical asymptote at x equals 5. Again, the limit may not be the same on either side as long as we know where the vertical asymptote is. So like here, from the right, the y's are going towards positive infinity, and from the left, the y's are going towards negative infinity, but it's still a vertical asymptote there. It's still heading towards either positive or negative infinity at that x value, near that x value. We'll also get to later on these horizontal asymptotes, but those you find a little bit differently. So last question, concept check. If the denominator factor cancels, what type of discontinuity is likely? If it does not cancel, what type is likely? In other words, we just saw earlier that, okay, if the cancel common factors, this creates a hole in the graph. The one we had where it's x plus 2 times x minus 2 over x minus 2. Notice common factors cancel. So this creates a hole at x equals 2. Whereas if the common factors don't cancel, like the one f of x equals plus 1 over x minus 5, common factors didn't cancel, and so this creates a vertical asymptote where the denominator equals 0. So here at x equals 5. Okay, so those are the differences, right? Always cancel common factors first, then set the new denominator equal to 0 if there is one left over. So here's the big takeaway from lesson 4. When the denominator goes to 0, we have to be careful. If direct substitution gives us a denominator of 0 and it's not 0 over 0, ask ourselves, well, does anything cancel? Do any common factors cancel? If something cancels, then we have a hole at that x value. If nothing cancels, then we probably have a vertical asymptote at that x value. And with vertical asymptotes, the function usually shoots all the way up or shoots all the way down. This is why we get limits like positive infinity or negative infinity. So don't just say undefined and then stop. Ask ourselves, what's happening near that x value? Is the graph heading up? Is the graph heading down? Is there a factor that cancels? Or is there a vertical asymptote? This is how we understand the graph a little bit better, which will help us later on in calculus. All right, so that's lesson 4 of our MGS Calculus Camp. Today we talked about infinite limits and vertical asymptotes. We saw that f of x equals 1 over x minus 2 goes to positive infinity from one side, negative infinity from the other side. We saw that f of x equals 1 over x minus 3 squared goes to positive infinity from both sides. And we talked about the difference between holes and asymptotes. The next lesson, we're going to build on these concepts of limits and saying, well, what's the limit at infinity and negative infinity? This is when x gets bigger and bigger and bigger, or smaller and smaller and smaller. So as always, keep practicing. Again, calculus gets a lot easier if we understand what the graph is doing. And of course, always remember, math is everywhere. Have a good one.